The three words are not magic words. They are not a trick. They are not a spell that makes a woman belong to you. The three words are simple, calm, and powerful when they come from a man who actually means them. I value clarity. That is it. Not because those words control her. Not because they force attraction, not because they make her chase, but because those words reveal something most women do not expect from a man who is emotionally attached. They reveal that you are not here to beg, chase, decode, over-explain, or live inside confusion. They reveal that you can like her, miss her, want her, and still refuse to lose yourself in unclear energy, and that is what makes those words unforgettable. Because most men do the opposite. They say, hey. They say, how are you? They say, I miss you. They say, can we talk? They say, why are you acting different? They say, did I do something wrong? They say, please just tell me what happened. And sometimes those words are honest. Sometimes they come from a real place. But the energy underneath them is often fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of being ignored. Fear of being replaced. Fear that if he does not say something quickly, the connection will disappear forever. So the woman feels pressure. She feels the need. She feels that his peace depends on her response. And when a man's peace depends on a woman's response, his words lose weight. That is the painful truth. It is not always what you say that makes you weak. It is the need behind what you say. A man can say the perfect sentence and still sound desperate. He can send the cleanest text and still feel needy. He can say, I value clarity, but if he does not live it, those words mean nothing, because words only become powerful when your behavior can survive them. If you say you value clarity, but then chase confusion, she will not remember your strength. She will remember your inconsistency. If you say you are not available for games, but then reply to every little breadcrumb, she will not respect the words. She will see the gap between what you say and what you tolerate. That is where men lose respect, not because they care. Caring is not weakness. They lose respect because they abandon their own standard the moment they fear losing her. And if you learn nothing else from this, remember this line. The woman does not forget the man who can want her without needing her. That is rare. A man who wants her but does not need her approval to feel like a man who is warm but not hungry, a man who is clear but not controlling, a man who is honest but not emotionally flooding, a man who can say, I value clarity, and then actually step back when the situation becomes unclear. That is the energy women remember, not because it manipulates them, because it shows emotional control. And emotional control is more powerful than a perfect line. Now, if you are heartbroken right now, this may hit differently, because maybe you already sent the long message. Maybe you already asked why. Maybe you already begged for a conversation. Maybe you already checked her stories and felt worse. Maybe you already waited for her reply and lost your peace. Maybe you already said too much because silence made you panic. That does not make you a bad man. It means you were hurt. But if you keep letting hurt lead you, you will keep acting like a man you do not respect. And no woman can respect you more than you respect yourself for long. That is why the message is not just say these three words. The message is become the man who can live by them. I value clarity. Say it to yourself first. Before you say it to her, say it to your own emotions. When your mind says text her at midnight, say I value clarity. When your ego says check if she is watching your stories, say I value clarity. When your fear says ask mutual friends about her, say I value clarity. When your loneliness says send one soft message just to see if she replies, say I value clarity. Because clarity is not only about what she gives you, clarity is about what you refuse to keep doing to yourself. You refuse to keep chasing vague energy. You refuse to keep treating silence like a mystery you must solve. You refuse to keep calling anxiety love. You refuse to keep making one woman's attention the center of your identity. That is where your power returns. Now, most men think dating advice is about lines. What to text, how long to wait, what phrase to use, what sentence will make her feel something. But mature dating is not about memorizing lines. Mature dating is about becoming emotionally stable enough that your words carry weight. A woman can feel when you are only asking, how are you? Because you are afraid to say what you really mean. She can feel when you are texting, hey, because you want attention but do not want to risk rejection. She can feel when you are keeping the conversation alive with small talk because you are scared that if you get clear, she may not choose you. And that fear makes you passive. You become the man who circles the door but never knocks with confidence. You become the man who sends safe messages but secretly wants deep reassurance. You become the man who pretends to be casual while internally acting married to the outcome. That is not calm. That is hidden neediness. A grounded man does not hide behind endless small talk. He speaks with clear, simple, mature energy. If he is interested, he says, I enjoy talking to you. Let's get coffee this week. If she is vague, he does not chase the vague answer. If she says she is busy but gives no alternative, he steps back. If she gives effort, he meets effort. If she gives confusion, he values clarity. That is the standard. And this is where the three words become powerful. I value clarity. Those words are not aggressive. They are not angry. They are not begging. They are not dramatic. They are a calm boundary. They tell her, I am open, but I am not available for emotional confusion. I am interested, but I am not desperate. I can communicate, but I will not chase. I can care, but I will not lose myself. That is a mature masculine frame, and a mature masculine frame does not need to shout. It does not need to insult. It does not need to make threats. It simply stands. Now, imagine this. A woman is replying late. She is warm one day and cold the next. She flirts, then disappears. She says she wants to see you, but never makes time. She gives just enough attention to keep you hoping, but not enough consistency to make you feel respected. The old version of you would try harder. He would text more. He would explain. He would ask what changed. He would become careful with every word. He would start studying her mood like his peace depended on it. But the stronger version of you does something different. He watches the pattern. He does not panic. He does not attack. He does not chase. He simply says, I like talking to you, but I value clarity. If you're not in a place for that, I understand. Then he steps back. That is powerful. Not because it forces her to do anything, but because it shows you are not afraid of reality. Most men are afraid of reality. They would rather live in maybe than hear no. They would rather accept confusion than risk losing hope. They would rather keep a weak connection alive than face the truth that it may not be mutual. But a man with self-respect would rather have truth than emotional crumbs. That is what separates him, because crumbs can keep a starving man attached, but a grounded man does not live on crumbs. He wants mutual effort, he wants consistency, he wants respect, he wants peace, he wants a connection where he does not have to become anxious to feel close, and if that is not available, he can walk. That ability to walk is what makes his presence strong, because if a woman feels that you cannot walk away, your words lose weight. If she feels that you will tolerate anything to keep access to her, your attention becomes cheap. If she feels that your standards disappear when she becomes distant, she will not trust your strength. A woman may enjoy attention, but she respects attention that has value, and your attention only has value when you can withdraw it from confusion. That does not mean you become cold. That means you become selective. A weak man gives attention because he needs attention back. A strong man gives attention because he chooses to. A weak man overinvests early because he wants to secure her. A strong man allows connection to grow through mutual effort. A weak man asks, how do I make her mine? A strong man asks, is this woman good for my peace, my direction, and my standards? That question changes everything, because the goal is not to make any woman yours. A woman is not property. The goal is to become the kind of man the right woman feels safe choosing, while the wrong woman cannot make you abandon yourself. That is mature dating. Now, if you have been heartbroken, your attraction can become mixed with fear. You may want to be wanted so badly that you start seeking proof everywhere. You want her to text first. You want her to miss you. You want her to say something soft. You want her to regret. You want her to come back and repair the part of you that feels rejected. But be honest. Do you want her, or do you want relief? Do you miss her character, or do you miss the version of yourself you felt like when she wanted you? Do you want a healthy relationship, or do you want proof that you were enough? These questions matter, because if your wound is leading, you will call neediness love. You will call obsession loyalty. You will call emotional waiting patience. You will call chasing effort. You will call losing yourself dedication. But a mature man tells himself the truth. He says, I miss her, but I will not chase confusion. He says, I care, but I will not beg for clarity. He says, I want love, but I will not trade my dignity for attention. He says, I value clarity. That is the line you must live. Now, let us talk about why hi and how are you often fail. They do not fail because they are evil words. They fail because they are usually empty. A woman who has options gets hi constantly. She gets how are you constantly. She gets low effort attention constantly. So when you send the same empty opener, you enter the same category as every man who wants a response without bringing presence, direction, or intention. But the problem is not only the words. The problem is the lack of energy behind them. If you already know her and there is tension, silence, confusion, or distance, how are you may not be honest. It may be a soft attempt to reopen the door without saying what you really want. It may be a way to test whether she is available without risking your pride. That is not clarity. That is fear pretending to be casual, and women can feel that. A better message is not manipulative. It is simply more direct. I value clarity, so I'll be honest. I enjoy talking to you, but I'm not interested in mixed signals. That is mature. Or I like your energy, and I'd rather be direct than pretend I'm just checking in. That is stronger than hiding behind, how are you? Or if there has been distance, I hope you're well. I value clarity, so I'm not going to keep guessing where we stand. That is calm. It does not beg. It does not attack. It does not chase. It opens the door to truth. And if she responds with maturity, good. If she avoids, now you have information. If she gets defensive, now you have information. If she disappears, now you have information. If she respects it, now you have information. Do not fear information. Fear ignoring it because fantasy feels better. That is what men do too often. The truth is right there, but they keep asking for another sign because they do not want to accept what the pattern is saying. She replies only when bored. That is information. She avoids plans. That is information. She gives attention but no consistency. That is information. She keeps you emotionally attached but unclear. That is information. She comes back only when you stop chasing. That is information. She wants comfort but not responsibility. That is information. A grounded man does not need to keep asking what is happening when the pattern is already speaking. He values clarity, so he listens to reality. Now, emotional control matters because the moment you speak with clarity, your fear may rise. You may think, what if she leaves? Good. Let the wrong connection leave. You may think, what if she thinks I am too serious? Good, the right woman will respect honesty. You may think, what if I lose her? If clarity makes you lose her, confusion was the only thing keeping her close. And that is not something worth protecting. This is a hard truth. A connection that only survives when you stay unclear, quiet, anxious, and overly available is not a connection built on real respect. It is built on your willingness to abandon yourself. And you are done doing that. Now, when you say, I value clarity, you must be prepared to behave like it. That means you do not keep texting after she gives vague answers. You do not ask the same question 5 times in softer ways. You do not chase after she says she is not ready. You do not keep showing up emotionally for someone who is not showing up clearly. You do not become bitter. You do not punish. You simply step back. Because a boundary without action is just a sentence. A standard without behavior is just noise. If you say you value clarity and then live inside confusion, you teach her that your words have no cost. But if you say it calmly and then step back when the energy remains unclear, you teach yourself that your peace is real. That is the main point. You are not saying it to train her. You are saying it to honor yourself. If she rises to meet the standard, good. If she does not, you still keep yourself. That is power. Now, the man who is heartbroken needs this more than anyone. Because heartbreak makes a man want to negotiate with his own standards. He says, normally I would not accept this, but it is her. He says, normally I would not chase, but I just need closure. He says, normally I would not tolerate mixed signals, but maybe she is just hurt. He says, normally I would walk away, but maybe she will change. And slowly he creates special exceptions for the person hurting him. That is dangerous. Because the person you like most can become the person you betray yourself for most. Ride that again in your mind. The person you like most can become the person you betray yourself for most. That is why standards must be strongest when emotion is loudest. It is easy to have standards with someone you do not care about. The real test is whether you keep them with the woman who can shake your chest with one message. If she goes cold, do you chase? If she ignores you, do you beg? If she comes back, do you collapse? If she gives crumbs, do you overinvest? If she says something soft, do you forget the pattern? That is the test. And the answer must become no, not because you are cruel, because you finally respect yourself. Now, here is your 7-day reset. For 7 days, do not message her first from panic. Do not check her stories. Do not ask mutual friends about her. Do not post to get her attention. Do not make emotional decisions at night. Do not reread old messages until your chest hurts. Do not send a soft message when what you really want is reassurance. Put that energy into training, work, money, sleep, discipline, faith, emotional control, and rebuilding your identity. Train your body even when your mind is heavy. Clean your room even when your emotions feel messy. Fix your sleep because tired men make weak decisions. Eat properly because heartbreak drains your focus. Walk when the urge to check hits. Drop out what you want to say, but do not send it from panic. Put your phone away before midnight. Build your day before your emotions build it for you. This is not about pretending you do not care. It is about proving that her response does not own you. Every time you do not chase, you rebuild self-trust. Every time you do not check, you rebuild control. Every time you do not ask about her, you rebuild dignity. Every time you keep your routine while hurting, you become stronger. Confidence is built by keeping promises to yourself. You said you would not beg. Do not beg. You said you would not chase. Do not chase. You said you would not abandon your standards. Do not abandon them. That is how a man becomes solid. And a solid man is memorable because he is not easily pulled into chaos. Now, let us go deeper into the 3 words. I value clarity does not mean you demand commitment from a woman who barely knows you. It does not mean you turn every conversation into pressure. It does not mean you ask for certainty after one date. It does not mean you become intense too soon. Maturity matters. Clarity at the beginning looks simple. You show interest, you make a plan, you observe effort. You do not overinvest before there is mutual investment. Clarity in the middle looks like consistency. You communicate honestly. You do not play hot and cold. You do not act single when you want commitment. You do not accept ongoing confusion and call it patience. Clarity after distance looks like self-respect. You do not chase someone who keeps pulling away. You do not beg for a conversation. You do not keep checking. You do not pretend a vague message is a full return. Clarity is not pressure. Clarity is clean energy. A woman can relax around clean energy because she does not have to guess whether you are hiding resentment, desperation, or secret expectations. You say what you mean. You move with respect. You accept reality. That is rare. Many men are not clean with their energy. They act casual but secretly demand loyalty. They say they are fine but punish with coldness. They say they only want to talk but actually want reassurance. They say they want closure but actually want another chance. They say they are over it but check every story. That mixed energy creates tension. A mature man does not live like that. He gets honest with himself first. If he wants a date, he asks for a date. If he wants clarity, he asks calmly. If he is not getting respect, he steps back. If he is hurting, he does not turn pain into pressure. If he is not ready to talk calmly, he waits. That is strength. Now, if she messages you after silence, this is where I value clarity becomes even more important. Maybe she sends, hey. Maybe she says, I miss you. Maybe she says, I was thinking about you. Maybe she says, do you hate me? Maybe she says, can we talk? Your heart may jump. Your mind may start building a whole future from one notification. But slow down. A small message is not a full return. A hey is not accountability. And I miss you is not changed behavior. A late night text is not emotional maturity. A woman touching the door is not the same as a woman walking through it with clarity. Most men lose right here. They reply too fast. They write too much. They ask if she missed them. They try to force certainty. They pour months of pain into one conversation. They act like they were waiting by the phone the whole time. And she feels it. She feels that the silence did not make him stronger. It only made him hungry. Do not be that man. If she says, hey, you can say, hey, hope you're doing well. That is enough. If she says, I miss you, you can say, I hear you. What made you reach out? If she says, I've been thinking about us, you can say, I understand. What do you want to do with that? If she says, can we talk? You can say, we can talk, but I value clarity, and I am not rushing back into anything unclear. That is calm. That is direct. That is mature. These are not games. They are boundaries. They show openness without desperation. They invite clarity without begging. They protect your peace without attacking her. A real return can handle patience. A fake return usually cannot. If she genuinely wants to reconnect, she will respect your pace. If she only wants emotional access, she may disappear when she realizes you are not easy anymore. Let that happen. You need truth more than temporary comfort. Because temporary comfort can pull you right back into the same cycle that broke you. Truth sets you free. Now, if she says you changed, do not become defensive. You can say, I had to. The old version of me kept losing himself. If she says you do not care anymore, you can say, I care, but I value clarity. I am not chasing confusion. If she says you are acting cold, you can say, I am not trying to be cold. I am being careful with my peace. Then stop. Do not over-explain. Do not defend your growth for an hour. Do not let guilt drag you back into a place your self-respect already left. A man with a center speaks clearly, then watches behavior. Because behavior tells the truth. If she respects your boundary, that is information. If she mocks it, that is information. If she takes accountability, that is information. If she only wants access without responsibility, that is information. Again, do not fear information. Fear ignoring it because fantasy feels better. Now, if she is new in your life, the same principle applies. Do not start by trying to make her yours. Start by seeing if there is mutual energy. A grounded man does not chase attraction like it is a prize outside of him. He creates connection, observes effort, and keeps his life moving. If she replies with interest, he continues. If she is dry, he does not perform. If she avoids plans, he does not beg. If she gives mixed energy, he does not become a detective. He values clarity. That is how mature dating feels. You are not trying to win a woman like a trophy. You are discovering if there is a real connection between two adults. That mindset alone changes your energy. Because when you are trying to win her, you perform. When you are discovering, you stay present. When you are trying to win her, rejection feels like humiliation. When you are discovering, rejection is simply information. When you are trying to win her, you hide parts of yourself. When you are discovering, you show up honestly. That is stronger. Now, some men worry that clarity will scare women away. It will scare the wrong dynamic away. That is not a loss. If a woman only likes you when you are vague, over-available, and afraid to speak honestly, she does not like the real you. She likes the access. She likes the attention. She likes the comfort of being wanted without the responsibility of being clear. And that is not a connection you should be desperate to keep. The right woman does not need you to destroy your peace to prove your interest. She does not need you to beg. She does not need you to chase confusion. She does not need you to become anxious to show you care. She can respect directness. She can communicate. She can meet effort. She can appreciate a man who has standards. That is the kind of woman you should want. Because the wrong woman will punish your clarity. The right woman will respect it. Now, here's the part men often forget. You also need to be clear. Do not demand clarity while you create confusion. Do not ask for honesty while you play games. Do not expect consistency while you disappear to test her. Do not expect emotional maturity while you act from ego. Do not say you value clarity and then use silence as punishment. Self-respect goes both ways. If you want mature connection, be mature. If you like her, do not hide behind childish games. If you need space, communicate it respectfully. If you are not ready, be honest. If you are interested, show it clearly but calmly. If you are not interested, do not keep her attached for attention. because a man with standards must also have integrity. A man who wants respect must move respectfully. That is what gives him real authority, not control over her, control over himself. Now, if you have been hurt before, you may be tempted to become cold. You may think, I will never care again. I will never open up. I will never give a woman power again. But that is not healing. That is fear wearing armor. A mature man does not become cold. He becomes selective. He does not stop caring. He stops overgiving too early. He does not stop loving. He stops losing himself. He does not stop trusting forever. He starts watching consistency before handing over access. That is wisdom. Do not let one woman's confusion turn you into a man who cannot receive love when the right woman appears. Let the lesson make you stronger, not smaller. Now, what makes a woman truly remember a man is not only his words. It is the way he handles emotion. She remembers if he begged. She remembers if he attacked. She remembers if he panicked. She remembers if he tried to guilt her. She remembers if he kept chasing after she became distant. But she also remembers if he stayed calm. She remembers if he spoke clearly. She remembers if he did not fold. She remembers if he respected himself. She remembers if he did not turn rejection into bitterness. She remembers if he could say, I value clarity, and then actually live by it. That kind of man leaves a different impression. Not because he tries to be unforgettable, because he is aligned, his words, actions, and standards match. That is rare. Now, if you are sitting there wondering whether to text her, ask yourself this. Am I texting from clarity or from panic? Am I trying to connect or trying to get relief? Am I ready to accept any outcome, or do I need her response to make me okay? Am I speaking honestly, or am I hiding behind how are you because I am afraid? Those questions will save you. If you are not calm enough to accept no reply, do not send it. If you are not calm enough to accept a cold reply, do not send it. If you are not calm enough to accept that she may have moved on, do not send it, because then you are not communicating. You are reaching for emotional medicine, and medicine from the wrong person can become addiction. Come back to yourself first, then speak if it is still needed. Now, the most mature version of I value clarity may not even be something you send. Sometimes it is something you live. You value clarity by not checking. You value clarity by not chasing. You value clarity by not accepting hot and cold. You value clarity by walking away from vague energy. You value clarity by not pretending crumbs are enough. You value clarity by choosing peace over access. You value clarity by keeping your routine even when your emotions are loud. That is the real message. And sometimes the strongest thing you say to a woman is not spoken through a text. It is spoken through your absence from confusion. It is spoken through your refusal to over-explain. It is spoken through your discipline. It is spoken through your calm. It is spoken through the way you keep building. That is why actions speak louder than words, because words can be performed. Discipline cannot be faked for long. Now, if she never understands it, you still win. This is important. Do not make her understanding the prize. The prize is your peace. The prize is your self-respect. The prize is becoming a man who can love without begging. The prize is becoming a man who can be rejected without collapsing. The prize is becoming a man who can be interested without being needy. The prize is becoming a man whose life does not stop because one woman is unclear. That is real power. Maybe she remembers those 3 words forever. Maybe she does not. Maybe she respects them. Maybe she walks away. Maybe she comes back. Maybe she stays gone. You cannot control that. But you can control whether you keep living by your standard. That is the point. Now, tonight, when your mind tells you to send hi because you secretly want reassurance, stop. When your heart wants to send how are you because you are afraid to say what you really mean, breathe. When your ego wants to check if she misses you, do not check. When loneliness tells you to reopen a door that has only brought confusion, put the phone down. Stand up, drink water, walk, train, pray, work, subtly build. Do one thing that makes tomorrow better. Because discipline is how a man tells desire, you can be felt, but you cannot lead me. That is the kind of man who is remembered, not the man who begs, not the man who performs, not the man who hides behind weak messages, not the man who says, how are you, when he really means, please make me feel wanted again. The man who is calm, the man who is clear, the man who can want her without needing to own her, the man who can speak honestly without pressure, the man who can walk away without hatred, the man who can love without abandoning himself. That man is hard to manipulate, that man is hard to replace, that man is hard to forget, that man is free. So remember this, the 3 words are, I value clarity. But the words only matter if your life agrees with them. Say them calmly, live them completely. Do not chase confusion. Do not beg for attention. Do not over-explain your worth. Do not hand your peace to someone else's mood. If she meets you with maturity, respect it. If she meets you with game, step back. If she brings clarity, listen. If she brings confusion, choose peace. Because the deepest truth is this. The goal is not to say 3 words so she becomes yours. The goal is to become a man whose words carry weight because he already belongs to himself. And in the next video, you will learn the exact signs a woman is testing your clarity and how to respond without becoming needy, defensive, or easy to control.